Okay, in this one, I'm going to introduce the programming checklist. Basically, what that is a checklist that you follow from top to bottom that prompts you to check various items in the job to make sure certain things are in order, which will dramatically increase the first right every time. Sorry, right first every time. Okay, so I'm going to do the checklist on the little kitchen, if you want to call it that we done in the last job, or the last video, and I'm going to just introduce the checklist first, and then we'll just start going through it. Most of it will be relevant to this job. There'll be some other little things that will be not relevant to this, but I will compile them into another drawing. Will probably be some angled walls and stuff like that, I think. So it'll be good to see how that's done. So without further ado, I will get into this checklist. Now, just so everyone knows, this checklist is not the Bible. This is where we're at with ours. Okay, I'm going to teach everyone how we do our way, and I'm also going to teach everyone how to adapt everything to make it their own. Okay, so this is the starting point. Take it, adapt it, throw it away, do whatever you like with it, but this is how we do it, this is how it works well for us, so we're starting there. Okay. Right, so at the top you have polyboard, and that runs down into VCarve, and a couple of things just to check in VCarve, just to make sure everything is correct. Okay, so I'm going to start at the top. Right, I have these subheadings. Right, I got overall checks, and that is checking the job as a whole. So looking at this whole space, this series of cabinets and how they work together. Okay, that's what that is. We'll talk about the headings under that when we start going through it. The next one is appliances. It's just a prompt to check certain things for appliances. No problem there. And then the next one is cabinet level checks. So this is go into cabinets one by one. Right. So rather than looking at the room as a whole and how all the cabinets work together, we're going to go into each cabinet inside it, and we're going to just check that the drillings are correct and stuff like that, see if shelves are correct and stuff like that. Okay, the next one then is basically, once it's fully checked, we'll then create the plans for the workshop and the cut lists, and we'll also output DXF files, which are just multiple drawings of all the parts with their drillings and so on. And that's the polyboard end of it. And then in VCarve, it's really just a couple of setup things to be mindful of. Okay, so that's all. So we'll start at the top. We're going back to overall checks. Overall checks being, the whole project. First thing to check is door gaps. Make sure that the door gaps are correct. Okay, so everyone will have their own way of doing this and door gaps. Okay, I'm going to show everyone how we do ours. So we aim in a lay-on door kitchen, not in frame, to have 3mm gaps everywhere. Right, so why that has to be checked is that at the very end here, the gap between this door and the end panel, because the end panel is flush with the side of the carcass, is 1.5. Reason being, every cabinet I have made to have 1.5 gaps on the side. So if it's a cabinet beside a cabinet, as you can see here, nice big black line, that's 3mm. And if it's a cabinet by an end panel, it's 1.5. So that's that kind of logic. Okay. Another thing to point out while we're on the subject of door gaps, I have made the bottom of the carcass to be flush with the bottom of the doors, and to be a 3mm gap at the top, obviously to clear the worktop. That's how it's set up out of the box. It is fully customizable. You can set up any standard you want for your libraries. No problem there. Right. So we got 3mm gaps in the middle, 3, and we come to the blind corner, then I have 1.5 again. Right, and the same is actually true here too. Yeah, so that's a 3mm gap between them, but the gap here is 1.5. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll go into all the cabinets one by one. Alright, so just, if I want to click on the B53 here, as you can see, it asks me to click the worktop, right? But if I click once, right, and then click once more, as you can see, the actual cabinet that is that B53 in the list lights up. So now I can double click on that and go into it that way. Right, so I'm just going to select the top edge, right? Notice that you have to touch the top edge or an edge of something to select it. Touching the face is no good. Right? You have to touch the edge. Okay. So I'm gonna to change the gap here, right? So I have to select what I want to change, right? So I'm gonna select the drawer front. Okay. And then over here on the right hand side, I have links. So links to the top of the top of the cabinet, links to the left, links to the right, and links to the fixed shelf. Now you're probably wondering what that is. To divide the space out, I have put a fixed shelf in here, okay, and I've made it basically a nil material, right? So it's an invisible shelf, right? I'll get into that in future cabinets, but that's why that says fixed shelf here, okay? So if I'm to look at the relation of the drawer front to the top, there is a slack or a gap of 3 mil. So I'm to look to the left side, 1.5, right side, 1.5, and the fixed shelf, 0. It's 0 to the fixed shelf. As you can see here, we have 0 mil gap to the so-called invisible fixed shelf, with a thickness of 0 mil, right? Anyway, to cut it short, right, on the left side, I need to change that 1.5 to a 3, and as you can see here, this has moved. If I look in at the top here, that you can see that the top one which is selected is moved in, okay? So I'm going to select the two drawers here, right? So they're links to the left side. Highlight that, 3, bang, okay? And you can see that that's updated correctly. Not a bother. Right, so I'm just going to close that, right? And now you've just modified the cabinet. What do you want to do? If we want to save the modifications, we're going to just hit OK to save modifications in the model. Okay, so now when I go back into the job, into here, if we look over here to the corner, now we have lovely 3 mil gap on the side. Just a small little detail. This has to be done. So how do you say? It's a good standard in that when you have cabinets beside each other, you have the correct gaps, and it's just at end panels that you have to think about it. So it's not a big deal. So I'm going to go over to the base corner Le Mans 50 right door. I'm going to go into that. Right, again, to change the the settings on the door, well, I have to select the door because this will then give me its links to the top, bottom, left, right, and the vertical division. There's an invisible vertical division. There is an invisible vertical division in there, which acts as the hinge point. Okay, I'll get into this again in future videos creating cabinets. But what we need to do is we need to change the gaps between the door and that vertical division. So we need to change that to be 3. So that's changed to 3 there now. Very good. Close that. Alright, I'm going to work my way across the top. So actually I'll finish the base cabinets first. Right, so my little base left door, one shelf, go in here. It's a gap to the left. So we'll go 3. Right. Okay, so that's all the base cabinets done. Now I'm going to go to the on worktop cabinet, and that just needs its gap changed to the left side, 3, and close that. And then the appliance fridge, right, and highlight the door, right side, 3. Lovely stuff. You can see the door gap, the door size has changed accordingly. Lovely stuff. So there's our gaps. Right, it'll be 3 mil gap. Got a 3 mil gap there as well. 3 mil gap, 3 mil gap, 3 mil gap. Perfect. The kitchen has perfect 3 mil gaps then. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the checklist, right? And just because I have the Excel version here, I'm just going to turn that green. Just done. If anyone doesn't have Excel, I have this also in the tutorial folder in a PDF form, which you can just print, and if you want, you can just tick it off or whatever. Okay, so the next one, door opening sides, right? So don't mind the other note, I'll get rid of that. Actually, just get rid of it now. Door opening sides. That's just a check on whoever drew it to make sure that the doors are actually opening the correct way. So the way to do that, up here there is a little white box called doors and drawers, right? And you can open your doors. If you click it again, if you get rid